This is 75 grams of payload. That's more than half the weight of the Dji Neo itself, just for comedy value. Let's see if that works. Come on, you can do this. Welcome to another video, and in this video I'll be doing crazy stuff with the Dji Neo again, and in particular I'll be answering another question that you've asked, and that is what the maximum payload capacity of this drone is. Now, many of you are probably considering putting action cameras on this drone in order to combat the poor camera quality on this drone, which isn't too bad in certain conditions, but it can be a little bit lacking. So when we look at the action cameras like a GoPro Hero 12, 13, those cameras weigh about 100 to 150 grams, which is really hefty for a little drone like this, which only weighs 135 grams itself. So I'll be having a look at a very carefully calibrated, scientific and delicious way of measuring that. You'll see what I mean in a minute. But before I do that, just a quick disclaimer. When we look at the maximum payload capacity of drones, it's not just about what it can lift off the ground, it's what it can safely control itself with. Because a drone like this has 4 motors, and you have to have a little bit of redundancy to use those 4 motors, reduce some, increase some, in order to combat external forces like gusts of wind, extreme maneuvers, those kind of things. So that's worth bearing in mind when we look at this and we think, yes, it could just about carry a ton off the ground. Well, it's not quite that easy. It has to be controllable. It's a little bit windy today, so that's, I guess, a good thing. So starting off with 25 grams, that's about the same sort of weight that an Insta360 Go 2 camera would be. They're the little pill-shaped mini cameras that you can get with like a docking station. And if you're interested in that one, Original Dober's already done a video on a little mount that is designed for the Dji Neo. So it is going to work, but let's have a look at to see how well it does cope with 25 grams. I don't have an Insta360 Go 2 camera on me because I'm too poor for that. But I do have something more delicious, and that's a Milky Way chocolate bar, which weighs exactly 25 grams. Yep, 25 grams. And I'm going to mount it on my non-patent pending payload mount system. As you can see, it's very smart. Ah, look at that. Brilliant. It's a chocolate delivery system by DJI. Right, I'm going to see if this takes off, see how it flies, and probably move to the next weight. Okay. Suddenly started veering off into the distance uncontrollably, so that's just 25 grams, which is very surprising because I thought it'll cop that all right. But I'm going to do it again, use a fresh battery and see if that works better. That is all right now. Let's try that again, coming back this way. Yeah. All right. So that's 25 grams, sort of worked. Not happy about what I did the first time. Maybe it's because the battery was a bit low, because these batteries do behave strange when they get down to the last sort of 20% of their capacity, but we tried 50 grams. So for that, we are going to use some Turkish Delight, 50 grams. Blah. Right, go like that. Works a charm. That's 50 grams of Turkish Delight on a Dji Neo Delight. Here we go. I'm going to take off from my palm this time. This could go wrong, but here we go. 50-gram payload, nearly half its own weight. Ah, what a trooper. It is a bit windy as well, so it's not the best conditions for it, but it's all right. Not too bad. Let's put it in sports mode, see what happens then. Okay, and going back. That's 50 grams of Turkish Delight flying around. We'll try 75 grams, which is going to be more than half the weight of this drone. And for that, I've got something else as well. This is a Twix Extra, or if you go back about 15 years, this would have been a standard Twix, but it's extra now because we get less for our money. There you go. This is 75 grams of payload. That's more than half the weight of the Dji Neo itself. So we'll see how that one does. Oh, look at that! 75 grams. Still doing all right. Not too bad. Let's have a little fly around. Wee! Wee! Okay, that's strange. Okay, some weird stuff starting to happen there. That shouldn't happen. So I don't know if that's the... Oi! Interesting. Okay, we'll have some more flying around. Oi! It's having hiccups. Poor little thing. You gonna hiccup again? Oh, yep. 50 grams was alright. 75 grams with a Twix extra on it is not quite. Alright, I'm going to put a fresh battery on it because I think in order to give it the best chance or fighting chance to carry these weights, you need a fresh battery to give it the best chance it can get. We're going to try 100 grams. I'll be very surprised if we can do much more than 100 because this was starting to struggle. Right, so for 100 grams we're going to use this carefully calibrated orange or Satsuma. It's a Satsuma, I think. It's a little orange, Satsuma. And that's going to be mounted on top. Now this is a little bit gnarly, but let's have a look, see how that does. There we go, we have one mounted Satsuma. This mount system is German engineering at its finest. Oh, look at that! Oh, it's, yes, no, oi! Okay, so it's really hiccuping now, but it's... Come on, you can do it! Let's give it a go anyway. Here we go. Strange, it just seems to do it more when it's hovering. Forward flight, it seems okay-ish. Come on. All right. All right, so that was a little bit worse than 75 grams, still doing that hiccupy thing, which is really weird because it does it more when it's hovering than forward flight, but it's starting to get less comfortable for it. It's not really coping with that weight that well anymore. Anyway, we're going to do one more weight, and this one's going to be really nuts, so you're in for a treat. Okay, so for the last test, we're going to try and fly it with another Dji Neo on the back of it, very loosely connected, so don't try this at home and cry if it breaks. Oh, nearly. We're going to give it a slight chance and take the battery off this one, which is probably about 105 grams-ish. But just for comedy value, let's see if that works. Come on, you can do this. Look at that. Just... Oy, oy, oy. Oh, and that does look a bit rude actually, but we don't care about that. There we go. Hey, come on. Yep, that's struggling, but okay. All right. Okay, so I think that's enough payload testing done. I'm going to wrap it up and tell you my thoughts on what this drone can cope with now. Okay, so quickly wrapping it up then, the payload capacity of the Dji Neo. 25 grams, no problem. 50 grams, still okay, but anything more than 50 grams, 75 grams is just too much for it. It seems to do that funny dipping thing. That might be better in FPV mode if you're flying in FPV because you'll have different throttle control. But in normal controls with the RCN3 controller, it just really struggles, and that dipping sort of motion, especially when it hovers, is just very unpleasant. So things like the Insta360 Go 2 camera, 25 grams, no problem at all. 50 grams, you could probably just about get something like the naked GoPros, which are about 50 grams if you're doing it well. But the problem you're going to have with that is that naked GoPros tend to need an external power supply, and wiring that into something like the DJI Neo is a bit more tricky than something like a DIY drone. So there's your dilemma, but 50 grams, 50, 60 grams, still okay. When you get to 75 grams, it really starts to do that funny pulsing thing with the throttle, and 100 grams, 130, 120 is its absolute limit. So another DJI Neo with no battery can just about carry. With battery, it just didn't even have enough power to get off the ground. So there you go. We know the maximum payload, probably about 50 grams practically, and about 110 to 120 grams theoretically if you're completely not bothered about how it flies. Hope this helped you. If you think about putting things on top of this, you'll know roughly where the weight limits are now. If you did enjoy this video, remember to like and subscribe and all that jazz. And until next time,
textured environments.
Well, I'm trying to. Anyway, until next time, happy flying, stay safe, and see you soon. Bye-bye.